Okay, guten Morgen, hier ist Herr Klog. Welcome back from winter break for Deutsch 2. We're going to dive in today in chapter 11, and I'm basically going to give an early introduction to talking in the past tense. Um, Hopefully, we feel okay about speaking in the present tense, but if you think about it, we've never learned how to say anything that we've done um, in the past. And there are two main ways to speak in the past. There's what's called the conversational past and the narrative past. And one is used in conversations, one is used mostly in narrations or things written down, like all of Grimm's fairy tales are written in the narrative past. We're going to start with the conversational past, and two words we're going to have to get really cozy with are haben and sein. So let's have a look. Hopefully you remember how to conjugate both. If you don't, you got to make it a priority to learn how as soon as you can. Conjugating haben and sein has got to be a priority. So just to refresh our memories, ich habe, du hast. And you can open this document up on the checklist. There's a link to it, and fill this out with me. Sorry, I'm running out of room. Habe, hast, hat. These are two weird ones. Haben, habt, and haben. For sein, so all of these words we're going to need to use either haben or sein to communicate accurately. Sein, if we remember, goes ich bin, du bist, er sie es ist, wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind. And 9 out of the 10 words we're going to focus on this unit use haben. We'll talk about why we use sein sometimes and how. So let me show you with these examples down here how to make one of these into the past tense. Let's start with a present tense sentence like, I play soccer. Ich spiele Fußball. Ich spiele Fußball. Okay? Now, if I want to make that into the past, we're focusing on our verbs. And our verb here is spiele. Now, when using the past tense, the conversational past, your verb it has to go to the end. It lives next to periods and question marks. So to take its spot, it needs help. And it's going to ask for help from either haben or sein. And I mentioned most of them use haben. The ones that use sein, we change our location or state of being. We go from one place to another. Can you think of any verbs that do that? The top of my head, gehen comes to mind. That one you'll use sein. Fahren, to drive, that one you'll use sein. Most of them you'll use haben, even spielen, where we're staying in one place. So in Spiele's place, we conjugate haben. Ich habe. Ich habe Fußball. At the very end comes what's now called a past participle. Past participle. Past participles in German live at the end of the sentence. They typically start with ge, but not always. We're going to divide things into regular verbs and irregular verbs. And we're going to start with the regular verbs. So most of what you see this week and next are going to be regular verbs. Spielen is a regular verb. So to make spielen into its participle, you take the stem, the part without the en, spiel. You add ge and a t. Ich habe Fußball gespielt. You're going from saying I play soccer to I played soccer by having haben take the place of the verb and sending it to the end as a past participle. So let's look at I buy bread. Ik kaufe Brot. Ik kaufe Brot. Now, let's find our verb, kaufe. In its place, we're going to put habe. Ik habe. Brot. Now, kaufen still has to tell us that we're buying something. Ik habe Brot just says I have bread. We need the stem, so plus gekauft. Ge plus stem plus t. Ich habe Brot gekauft. Let's look at the next two and then we'll move on. I do my homework. Ik mache meine Hausaufgabe. So, could you do this on your own now? Maybe, maybe not. What we're doing is putting haben where our verb was, ich habe. And if we don't put our ge word at the end, this will sound weird. So that's the bigger concern. I'm more concerned with you throwing this to the end of the sentence than even getting the right past participle, because there will be some that are confusing. But ich habe meine Hausaufgabe, we take machen, add ge to the stem, plus t. Gespielt, gekauft, gemacht are our past participles. Those are going to be the same no matter who's doing it. The thing we do still have to conjugate is habe in this sentence, to haben to ich habe. All right, so I travel to Germany. Ich reise nach Deutschland. Reisen is one of the few sein words. So instead of ich habe nach Deutschland gereist, that is one that would be ich bin nach Deutschland gereist. Ich bin nach Deutschland gereist. So, here's an example of 4 sentences that we could have said in the present. Ich spiele Fußball, ich kaufe Brot, ich mache meine Hausaufgabe, ich reise nach Deutschland. Since we're so rusty, it might have taken you a minute to think of those, but you could have done it. With a couple of things to remember, we can now say those in the past. I'm here to show you the pattern so that if you come across a verb and you want to say it in the past instead of the present, you'll be able to make that happen. What you need is haben or sein for a few of them, and then a way to figure out the past participle. We're going to learn a pattern first that applies for regular verbs, ge plus stem plus t, and then I'm going to, in 11b, throw in the irregulars. Let's look at another slide. So we went through this together in class where I've got conjugate haben at the top. Hopefully you can do that. Ich habe, du hast, er, sie, es hat, wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben. And I asked students to think about if they could take this verb and make it into a past participle. So let's try a few. If I have hören, these are all regular verbs. We do need to think about how haben will change depending on the subject. It's not always going to be ich. Here we've got a variety. So ear is going to start with habt. If I want to ask, do you hear the music? Hört ihr die Musik? But since I'm going to ask, did you hear the music in the past, I put habt where the verb usually goes, and I'm going to send hören all the way to the end. But ge plus stem plus t means I take hör and make it gehört. Habt ihr die Musik gehört? Did y'all hear the music? Ja, wir haben die Musik gehört. Let's look at 2. I'm going to go kind of fast, so this isn't a terribly long video. Jubel, die Jugendlichen. This is plural, so it'd be haben, feel. Now, jubeln's my verb. The stem is the part without n. So I had ge and a t. Gejubelt. Haben, feeling, gejubelt. So die Jugendlichen haben viel gejubelt. They cheered a lot. Kaufen we saw already. Wo, it's for do. Wo hast du deinen Computer? I take kauf, add ge and t. Gekauft. It rained yesterday. Es hat gestern geregnet. This one I leave the E in. Some of these have a slight twist to it. I want to show you 7 real quick before I ask you to try these on your own. Bazookin, words that start with be verbs sound really weird if you had ge. So you wouldn't say ge bazooked. This one would just come out as bazooked. Besucht. Mein Onkel hat uns im Juni besucht. The rest of these, try them out. See if you can put in the right form of haben, and then change this verb to a past participle. So you add ge to the stem plus t. We're going to cover this a lot more. This is by far the last time we're going to learn this. In-person learners went through and looked at a bunch of these questions that are on the doc I had you open. These are just kind of get your brain working, and they're asking you, wo bist du gewesen? Wo bist du gewesen? So this brings in a few irregulars like gewesen. Gewesen means sein in the past. Sein means to be in the present. In the past, it means was or were. So, wo bist du gewesen is asking, where were you? Wo bist du gewesen? So, if the sentence says, du hast Kaffee gemacht, wo bist du gewesen? What makes sense? Badezimmer? Nein. Schule? Im Auto? Nein. Where would you make Kaffee? In der Küche. Yeah? In der Küche. That's got an extra E. Oh, well. Or im Café. Yeah? In a cafe. I want you to read through these and see if they make sense. I don't plan on collecting this from in-person learners, but I do want you to give it a shot and try and make sense of these questions. What you should focus on are the verbs. You won't know every single word. Du hast die ganze Nacht getanzt. So getanzt we've never seen before, but tanzen we have. What do you think tanzen, what do you think getanzt, if it's the participle for tanzen, might be? Instead of dance, it's danced. Where could you go to dance all night? In der Disco natürlich. Alright, so Johann hat das Mall of America besucht. Besuchen is to visit. So it's asking you, wo ist er gewesen? Where was he? Was he in Carlisle? Nein. Er war in Minnesota. Er ist in Minnesota gewesen. Wien ist die Hauptstadt von Österreich. It's the biggest city in Austria. Wo sind wir gewesen? Österreich. We were in Vienna. Ihr habt Kunst und schöne Bilder gesehen. Kunst is a school subject. Miss Weinman teaches art. Yeah. So if you were to see art and pretty pictures, wo seid ihr gewesen? This is asking you to think about where. In ein Museum. Ingo und seine Schwester haben Mount Rushmore gesehen. Wo ist Mount Rushmore? South Dakota. All right. So go through these, give them a shot. I might ask you if you tried them. I'm just asking you to think them through. So thanks for starting off your week with this longer video. We'll talk over Zoom very soon. Tschüss.